The USFL Gambling Podcast Week 1 preview and picks and DFS episode on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. We're also brought to you by our NBA Playoff Survivor Challenge. Yes, we're giving away $250 in cash and a $100 gift card. What are you doing, folks? Sign up today exclusively on the SGPN app, which you can download for free in the App Store or Google Play Store. So grab that thing today. And remember, as always, to let it ride.
Football is a unique American experience. A game described by one turn-of-the-century critic as crude and barbaric, with little chance of survival. But survive it did.
I don't give a damn who you are. It's America, Jack. You know how to play British high-dose football? Wait, I don't get it. Being played in the United States Football League. Oh my God! Quarterback is toast. We sometimes forget that football, being the consummate team sport, is where you're more successful when you do it as a unit and don't rely on individual talent. Frankly, I'm impressed with the USFL. America, this league is good for America, and football is a sport that is made for television. That is football. I'm like, spring football is going to work in America. You play to win the game. And now it is time for our USFL report.
Boom, and we are back. The season is about to kick. Oh my God, we are home. Welcome to the USFL Gambling Podcast. And in case you're just tuning in, and maybe you weren't with us all last season, you're wondering, who is this idiot talking to me? Well, my name is Colby Swinging Dan DeBiz Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price. But no one touches Dundee.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
I'm dying in this fucking country ass fucked up town. Shit flying in my mouth. The fuck, I can't see pollen. And just get the fuck.
Every meme on the internet has just been played.
Yes. Look, and I mean, there's just so much there's so much going on here. Play the music. The season's kicking. Shoot off the guns. Remember when the Rams used to shoot off the actual gun? I mean, come on.
Better times.
We need that back. All right. Oh man. 4 games this weekend. Week 1, year 2. Well, depending on how you look at it.
Oh, they think it's year 5. They're saying it's year 5.
Yes.
They released a tweet the other day, and it said it listed all the USFL championship games, and it included the glorious 2 from the 80s that Colby claims to remember.
3.
And
3.
Yeah. 3 from the 80s.
Yeah.
And it has to be the best damn memory of a 2-year-old that I've ever heard of.
NC Nick can attest to this, and I've said this
NC
for a long
Nick
time.
NC Nick has called bull on this.
We watched.
I'm outing him right now that he says he has said multiple times there is no way Colby actually remembers.
Not only do I remember what game it was, I remember where I was in the house that I lived in where I watched it. All right. And I can remember slinging Steve Young, dealing the ball all over the field, but you're probably wondering who the hell's talking besides myself. Look, I'm joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, Patty C in the place to be.
Hi, well, a frozen Patty C.
Patty C fresh out of the Sabotage Beastie Boys music video. We can appreciate that. We are also joined by the DFS god himself, some say. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lack giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
Bam! What's going on, guys? Can't wait for this weekend.
Cannot wait. And look, we had to bring in, look, this guy, if you've ever read any article at sportsgamblingpodcast.com or the SGPN app, well, there's a solid chance this guy was behind it in some capacity. And he happens to be, what I love about the guy is that he's just all in on these spring football leagues. Doesn't matter the league. We can talk all about it. So whether it's AAF, whether it's XFL, CFL, I feel like that we probably mentioned ELF in there. Give it up for editor for Sports Gambling Podcast, Adam Pelletier. How you doing, brother?
Doing good. I mean, you're not up on your German second league football teams. I mean, come on, guys. I hear it's good times over there. I've been told you come off the field and they're handing you beers in the parking lot.
Oh,
that's something I can get behind right there.
Definitely right there. That sounds amazing right there.
We also have memories of the World League in the early 90s also, okay?
Both World Leagues, yes. Like the
Ryan Fire action?
Yes. I remember the World League when it was in America and then how it just randomly put all the franchises in Europe.
But not the original World League that
in the
predated the
70s.
USFL.
No, Colby remembers that one. He was
the original Charlotte Hornets.
The original. That's right. The original Charlotte.
He
Hornets.
was the twinkle in his dad's eye, but he remembers watching it.
Even my dad didn't watch that shit because they didn't have a TV deal.
We missed having the baseball Hornets, the basketball Hornets, and the football Hornets in Charlotte. There was something there. Could have been something.
Could have been. Guys, before we get into handicapping these 4 games, want to talk a little bit. They released some rule changes from a season ago here. But man, I really, really, really love one of them. They're going to be kicking off from the 20-yard line. So the NFL kicks from the 35-yard line. I know me and Adam were trying to figure out, I think last season was the 30 that they kicked off from. It's down to the 20. It's down to the 20, which just means more returns. I know I made this case on the XFL podcast, XFL Gambling Podcast. Subscribe over there because we love all football. And right now we have 1 kickoff return in the XFL 8 weeks in. We'll see, but we had 5 in the USFL season a year ago, which is why I'm a strong proponent for the USFL kickoff. And moving it back, I think you're only going to see more kick returns for a touchdown. Patty C, what do you make of it from the 20-yard line?
I mean, I know we have XFL podcast hosts in here, so but since I'm not part of that crew, I'm gonna praise the USFL. I'm gonna throw shade at the XFL. I'm gonna say this is a great improvement. They're doing everything in their power to increase the odds of a kick return. They're making it so that you have to kick. Basically, most kickers won't be able to even reach the end zone. The penalty for kicking it out of bounds is super severe because the ball goes to the 50-yard line, and basically it just gives the and what was the other thing? The defense can't get a running start, so that's going to give the kick return team a lot more opportunity to gain some momentum going into the kick return.
Yeah, and I just want to re-key in on that. If you kick the ball out of bounds, you will be placed 30 yards from the spot of the kick. So normally the receiving team takes the possession at the 50-yard line. Whew.
That's huge.
Yeah, Nick, what do you make of that rule? And
overall, I think they got it right. I think the kick return is one of the more unique and exciting plays in football, and some leagues have pretty much done away with it. So I'm glad that the USFL hasn't. Some of the most exciting plays in the USFL last year were kick returns.
Cavante Turpin and Maurice Alexander both in the NFL now,
right?
Because of their kick returning skills.
Spectacular electric punt returns.
Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah.
Spectacular punt returns last year. It really, at that championship game, it just absolutely jacked up the energy. And there's nothing that jacks up the energy in a stadium like a kick or punt return. Colby, I found the rules from last year. They were kicking off from the 25. So
still 5 yards further back, which I'm all for it. I mean, look, and I think I posed this question when we started the XFL pod, was that, in a lot of cases when you're trying to get guys into the NFL, they even have a documentary series for the XFL called Player 54, right? Normally that 54th guy is going to be a special teamer. You know what I mean? That's if you're going to make that 53rd roster spot in the NFL, you're going to be a special teamer for the most part, which I find a little strange that they would go away from the NFL style of kick. And that's why I think the USFL might have a little bit of an advantage, even though it's from the 20. I think, if you're looking for that roster spot, a special teamer that is going to be playing a similar, I know the NFL, a lot of them are touchbacks, but still it's more similar. Adam, what do you make of the rule, and what do you make of perhaps?
I like it. I think it's a little bit the XFL kickoff. I like it better than NFL kickoffs. I'll say that right off the bat. NFL kickoffs, like you said, they go out the back of the end zone. They're touchbacks, and it's just there's no returns. I like that there's a return on every XFL kickoff. If I got down to it, I like the USFL rule better than the XFL rule because there's more flexibility. You can still have guys back deep to give the deep blocking, and you can set up with some strategy. It's not just, well, you better hope somebody falls down. So that flexibility there is really nice. And again, it's the most electric play in football. You get up, everybody's excited, everybody in the stadium holds their breath and has that explosion of energy with the big kick returns. And you can't create that any other way.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things besides the kickoff that I want to talk about that what's that?
Let me say this, Cole. I feel like I'm a little disappointed that you don't have the Dua Lipa sound drop pulled up for I got new rules, I count them.
As a man who's never met a sound drop he didn't love, I'm also shocked by that.
That's very true, folks. Look, I want to talk about some more rules, but I got to get us paid. I want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Shady Rays, which I think if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com, USFL Gambling Podcast, you will see Adam Pelletier and Patty C wearing some Shady Rays. I'm just going to go ahead and say that, Patty C. I didn't ask you, but I'm pretty sure that's from Shady Rays. Kick off the new year with new gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much, much more. And look, Shady Rays is an independent sunglass company that offers truly a world-class product. It's just as good as any expensive pair of sunglasses you've ever worn. They got durable frames, and they got extremely clear optics for all those outdoor adventures you like to go on. That's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane eye protection in all of eyewear. And I'm being serious here. I never heard something like this, right? Every pair of sunglasses is backed by lost or broken replacements. So let's say you're like Adam Pelletier. You're going to the Freedom Cup at the in Canton, Ohio to see who's going to win the USFL championship. And you throw a couple drinks back, and you're just having a good old time watching the USFL season kick ass again. And all of a sudden, you leave and you realize that the game went from daytime to nighttime. I put the sunglasses down on the seat next to me, and I never got them again. Boom! It doesn't matter. Shady Rays got your back. Lost or broken replacements, they will hook you up. So you can wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. And look, with Shady Rays, you can not only look good, you can feel good as well because they have donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. So their heart is in the right place. And right now, exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the new year. Go to shadyrays.com, use the promo code SGPN for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try it for yourself. The shades that are rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. Yes. Check out Shady Rays. I want to tell you also, we're brought to you by the NBA Survivor Challenge. Make sure to check out our NBA Playoff Survivor Challenge, completely free to enter. And the winner gets $250 in cash and a $100 SGPN gift card exclusively on the SGPN app, which you can get for free in the App Store and Google Play Store. So grab that thing today. And remember, let it ride. All right. We're back on the USFL Gambling Podcast. And, so we got the kickoff thing that we went over, but we also have some other rule changes here. First off, you can in this league you can attempt an onside kick, but you also can go for a 4th and 12 from your own 33-yard line, I believe. Mm-hmm. So they kind of have a little bit of both, essentially. Like the XFL has that rule, and they had the 4th and 12 last year, correct, Adam?
Yeah. Actually, as I'm looking at this, all the rules were in place last year, other than some of the specific rules about the emergency quarterback and the incomplete passes. So
And the emergency quarterback, I love that rule because we've seen in a lot of these spring leagues, whether your quarterbacks get dinged up or whether they're just playing really bad, you need three deep. So they have three guys in uniform ready to go, as opposed to some other leagues that only have two. And I think that pretty much does it, right? Except the ball forward, fumbled forward, which they adjusted this rule, I think, mid-season last year. I want to say Mike Pereira, if memory serves me correct, I could be wrong on this. So if a ball fumbled forward from the field of play into the end zone and out of bounds, it will be returned to the spot of the fumble. So it won't be the touchback situation that you've seen so many times, in college or NFL.
That's unless it goes through the back of the end zone, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that too, because I always felt like cheated if my team or the team I'm betting on is driving about to score a touchdown and just dumb luck, they fumble at the one and it goes out of bounds in the end zone and the other team gets it. It didn't quite seem fair. I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, it never made sense that if you're diving for that pylon and it gets knocked out as you're crossing the pylon, how the hell is that a touchback? That should be continuation of, you last possessed it at the 1 inch line.
I kind of dig it though, because it makes it like you can't mess up within the 5 yard line. But I understand your argument. I'm kind of on the fence, to tell you the truth, on this one. And
don't forget the timing rules in the with the incomplete passes. The clock will continue to run on incomplete passes until inside of 5 minutes.
Inside of 5 minutes, and that
we were arguing about that last year.
Yeah, and they adjusted that mid-season too. Some of those games were running long.
I was all for it. Colby wasn't, and then the week after it was implemented, we both said that we really didn't notice a change.
No, I think that's a minuscule change that you won't really notice. And the big thing is it's a TV product. This isn't. They understand this isn't prime football. They understand that this is going to be entertaining, but they don't want to have you anchor down for a 4-hour game.
But I mean, look, they should, because if 2 million people are watching, it's going to be more than the next show that's on. And I know they scream like, we want to get this thing done, player safety. Cavante Turpin just defeated all that shit. He played in the ELF straight into the USFL season, straight into an NFL season. The guy played like 50 games in like what, 20 months. So. Get that player safety bullshit. Come on, get that out of here. Get that out of here. Look, all right, folks, let's hop into this. Let's start talking about the games, because I'm super, super excited. I'm curious what game you guys are most excited to see. But game one here,
that's an obvious answer too. We'll get to it, but I think that's an obvious answer.
There's one correct answer to which game we're most excited for.
Well, I was trying to make it, pop, guys. Thanks for just flushing the toilet on me here. Look, game one though, the Philadelphia Stars and Case Cookus and Blob, who I think is the greatest mascot in all the sports personally. They are heading into remember, Tampa Bay Bandits gone, Bandit Ball gone. They are now the Memphis Showboats playing at the world famous Liberty Bowl. Currently, Philadelphia Stars laying 2.5 points. Over under at 39. The money line for the Showboats plus 125. Now, I saw that Brady White, who played college ball at Memphis, he's no stranger to the Liberty Bowl, named the starting quarterback of the Showboats. Remember last year they had Jordan Ta'amu, and Jordan Ta'amu playing really good in the XFL currently. The Stars do return Case Cookus, who almost led them to a Freedom Cup win. Guys, the Stars are laying 2.5. Todd Haley still the coach of the Memphis Showboats. Bart Andrews still the coach of the Philadelphia Stars. I mean, should we just start things up by locking up the Philadelphia Stars? Is this going to be unanimous here? I'm so curious. Patty C, what are you doing in the Liberty Bowl here?
And what did you say the spread was on that?
Minus 2.5. Minus 2.5 the Stars.
I feel like the lock is a strong play there. I think that's a smart play.
I mean, they returned Bug Howard. They returned, Matt Colburn. They Jordan Sewell.
Just remember, though, Bug Howard is still inactive. We haven't seen news that Bug Howard's been activated yet. So before you throw him in all your DFS lineups, he isn't active as of yet, and we're not sure why that is.
Adam, what are you doing though in this one? You going you all
Stars.
on the Stars?
Not even a question. I mean, you got a team that averaged 26 points a game last year against a team that averaged 16 and is still coached by Todd Haley. Bart Andrus,
Are we
football guy.
concerned? Are we concerned a little bit that this seems so obvious?
It does. Well,
No.
and should we be concerned that Jordan Tama was the starter and last year Brady White was the backup and he got in and didn't play well.
No.
And that Bandits offensive line, which is now the Showboats offensive line, I know they've changed some players, but they were awful last year. So
this game last year, which obviously was Stars versus Bandits instead of Stars versus Showboats, Philly won 35-28. And you mentioned Matt Colburn. In that game, he ran for $140 and 3 touchdowns. I'm fading Memphis here. I don't believe in Brady White. We don't like Todd Haley. We mentioned continuity this year is going to be a huge thing. That's what the Stars have. Highest scoring offense in the league last year. Led the league in turnover margin. There's just no way that I think anybody should pick Memphis here. It seems too easy.
yeah, I mean, this line.
Memphis didn't get better either at running back or quarterback. I mean, they went out and got Alex Collins, who hasn't played meaningful football in about 2 years. David Ham, love David Ham, great story, hustler, grinder. I've talked to him several times, but he hasn't played football. He hasn't played pro outdoor football in a while, and Justin Stockton hasn't played since the XFL too. So you got 3 backs that aren't used to contact, are on the upper end of age, and you've got a receiving core that still lacks a number 1 guy.
Well, and they brought in Osiris Mitchell, but my problem is I don't know that they're going to have a lot of success getting the ball. Like the main things that stand out to me from a year ago was the offensive line. I actually thought it was the worst offensive line in the league. Sure. I know their record was better than Pittsburgh and a few other teams, Houston and Michigan, but I just don't think their offensive line. You're losing Teamo, who is a mobile quarterback. If anything helps when you have a bad offensive line, Brady White, he's got a little bit of mobility, but nothing like Teamo. You lose both your running backs from a year ago, who were somewhat solid. I know the average yards per average wasn't great, but
I think it was worse. I think it was worst in the league. But I don't think it was the running back's fault. To your point, that offensive line, it was bad in the run. It was bad in the pass. It just wasn't good anyway.
Most sacks given up in 2022 by a good margin, 29 sacks against. So almost 3 sacks a game.
Yeah.
Getting their quarterbacks killed out there.
I don't understand why the line is 2.5. Maybe because it's going to be, I imagine Memphis fans might be super excited to come out to the Liberty Bowl, and maybe the environment could be tough,
especially if there's still some Brady White fans from his college days. Maybe that crowd is there, but I don't think it's going to do him any good.
Yeah, they have a new DC, Carnell Lake. Maybe that can help. I don't know, but
can we find a prop bet if Channing Stribling gets an interception in this game, because he had 7 for the Stars last year?
What a stud, man!
I would cash the over on the 0.5.
Yes.
Just walk it to the bank.
I'll tell you what, Brady White though, as a starter, only paying $6,800 for him in DFS. That's pretty good value for a dude that could potentially sling it around. I mean, like we said, the ability. Todd Haley had Ben Roethlisberger there for a while. Brady White, a slinger himself. So, I don't know if there's that big of a similarity. I might be confusing. Who is the other tall quarterback that
Cole Kelly is who you're thinking of. You like Cole Kelly. You don't like Brady White.
No, but Patty C.
I knew exactly the guy you were talking about. Cole Kelly, we can get excited about. He's toolsy.
Brady
White is.
To your point,
I think
Patty C.
Colby would describe him as a lawn chair.
There you go.
Yes.
But hey, the Stars defense was not that great last year. So if you are, we'll touch on DFS after the games. It's an interesting play. I'm not going to do it myself, but the Stars defense wasn't great. Bart Andrus was trying to address it in the offseason. We'll see if they're better this year. Chances are, I think they will be improved, and that's all the more reason to like Philly here.
I'm going to hammer that over too. On 39, I just think Andrus, another year in that system, returning pretty much the whole offense. I think they could put up 30 by themselves. So then it's like, can Todd Haley and the Showboats get 10, 15, 17? I don't know. I think you got to take the over. I'm curious what you guys are doing. Adam, what are you doing on the over under here?
Smashing the over. That's a ripe over for cashing. And early season, we know that the books are off because they're not paying attention to it. We saw this in the XFL. The first 2.5 weeks, you need to just be on it and watching what they're doing because they're not paying attention and they don't have the data yet.
Yeah, Nick, are you going over?
If you look at the opening week last year, 2 of the games would have went over this total, 2 wouldn't have. I think this is one where, I think the Stars are going to put up 30 or so. I don't think Memphis gets out of the teens, but I still combined it's enough to go over. I'm with you,
Patty C. Flat 39 over or under? What are you doing?
Well, I do feel like with 2 returning coaches, you're probably going to see a little more offense than you did at the beginning of last year. The offense is, especially with an offseason, what they didn't have last year. But then you add in the fact that this team has been together for a year now. Yeah, I expect them to be firing a little better. And 39 seems like a very doable over.
Well, one thing I want to note from a season ago, though, Nick, as you rattled off what happened a year ago. Last year we did not have the running clock in week 1. That was adjusted later. That was Mike Ferreira. I don't know what week, maybe 5. I don't remember what week he implemented that. Right. But food for thought. I still like the over. All right. Well, then that game's, by the way, that game is kicking off at 10:30 on the West, 1:30 on the East. That game is on Fox, and then right after that, oh man, we got a barn burner. They opened the season with this game a year ago, and it did not disappoint. The New Jersey Generals.
Colby, that game's actually 4:30. And 1:30.
Okay.
1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern.
I see the sports book messing with me here.
Using the wrong book, man.
Yeah. Anyway, good note though, and so the game that's after that then at 4:30 Pacific time, 7:30 Eastern time, the New Jersey Generals, Birmingham Stallions. This was a awesome game a year ago. 2 of the better teams in the league. The Stallions are laying 5. The Stallions are laying 5, which pretty big number there. The over under is sitting at good old 40. The Generals are plus 175 on the money line. The Stallions are minus 205. Stallions, as you remember, all of us I know this, but the audience might not. Stallions won the Freedom Cup in year 1 in the USFL. Skip Holtz, Jamar Smith, Bo Scarborough. The whole crew, Scooby Wright, friend of the program, they're all back for the most part. They lose Victor Bolden, Osiris Mitchell. Meanwhile, the Generals lost Luis Perez, but DeAndre Johnson was getting most of the starts, I feel like, towards the end of the season. Anyway,
is that a loss?
I don't think so. And then you have, obviously Kevontae Turpin. That's a loss. That's a loss, as he made the Pro Bowl in the NFL.
I thought Luis Perez was decent, and I thought he added decent depth for them. But not the biggest loss to lose your backup quarterback.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, he didn't play terrible for them. I mean, he was serviceable. Yeah.
Serviceable, but limits that offense. DeAndre Johnson makes that offense go.
And with Laletta, they have some depth as well.
Laletta, they also brought in a CFL backup in the CFL. But guys, are you a bit shocked at the number of 5? I can tell you, I'm all over the Generals here. I'm curious what you guys are doing. This is the best game of the weekend. I think that we're all stating there. But I was a bit surprised. I thought this would be more at like 1, 2, maybe even 3, but 5. Are you guys surprised by that, Adam?
Massively shocked. That is a huge number for teams that ran dead even last year. Only 2 total points separated them on the season offensively, and 5 separated them defensively. I don't know how or a little bit more defensively, but you can't put that number at 5 because last year this was a 4-point game in week 1, and it was the Generals' only loss, and they were in Birmingham. So maybe playing in Birmingham is worth some points, but I don't think it's worth 5, especially coming off the off season. You're champions, you got the rings on, you're feeling good, you're living life, and the Generals are sitting there thinking, we could have beaten this team last year.
Oh yeah, chip on the shoulder.
We wanted a
all
second
day.
shot at them. Yeah,
100%. Nick, what are you doing here in Birmingham? Or do you agree with what me and Adam are saying? Is that you got to take the Generals? I actually think they're a live dog at plus 175. Nick, what are you doing here?
We all know about that Freedom Cup hangover. Okay, every year, somebody's got to do a deep dive and go back to the '80s and see what those teams that won it did the following.
Well, the
season.
Stars have been in all 3 championship games. 4. Or no, 4 now. But I'm saying but they didn't win last year. So we got to look back at the hangovers from the years prior. But anyway, continue, Nick.
I will say Skip Holtz is the only coach in the league who will begin week 1 with the same quarterbacks he drafted in the first USFL draft last season, Jamar Smith, Alex McGough. And Smith and Holtz have been together for 7 years now. And the duo combined when Smith starts is 21-2 straight up.
And when you add in the fact that they also returns all 3 backs, CJ Marable, Bo Scarborough, Tony Brooks, James. This team, I get it. Victor Bolden was a fucking beast. Osiris Mitchell was a good wideout, but I don't know that they're going to miss a beat offensively.
No, you could argue Scarborough's the best running back in the league, and Marlon Williams might be the best receiver in the league. And then you got playmakers on defense like our guy Scooby Wright or like JoJo Tillery. So yeah, Birmingham is legit, but so is New Jersey, and 5 points is too much. So I'm definitely on the dog here with you guys.
It is interesting that they returned John Chavis, the DC of the Stallions too, because Mike Riley is implementing a new defense. Chris Dishman off to the XFL to coordinate with Rod Woodson.
For everybody at home wondering, the defending champion of the USFL championship is 1-1 in week 1. The Michigan Panthers took down the Chicago Blitz 20-18 at the Pontiac Silverdome in 1984. And in 1985, the Philadelphia Stars lost 22-14 on the road against the Jacksonville Bulls.
Look at that on the fly.
Dive.
What about after the 1985 season? You know, we have a next game. It happened to be 30 years later, but you have to factor that stat in too.
That's a long hangover.
I don't think that hangover counts, as I don't think any of the players were.
Well, you haven't had a real hangover then, because I've had some.
I've had over from doozies in my day. Trust me.
Let me tell you,
last time I had one, I woke up the next day. I didn't go to work for a week because I got a concussion. So damn.
I was gonna say college, you can bounce back in no time. When you're in your 40s, that's when hangovers go multiple days.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right. It's called a stroke, and you don't recover. Those hangovers last a while.
Patty C, what are you doing in this game?
You know, I think you guys are full of shit, and I'm going to tell you why. Right? We got the MVP that was on Philadelphia. He took off. He's in the
Philadelphia,
NFL.
Birmingham, buddy. Birmingham.
No, on New Jersey rather. On New Jersey.
I'm
the
questioning
MVP of the
your
league.
logic already. You're struggling to remember basic facts here, Patty.
Yeah,
C.
that's true.
You feeling all right? You into the stuff a little bit early tonight, buddy?
I wish. New Jersey, their MVP, long gone, Kevontae Turpin, Pro Bowler in the NFL. Meanwhile, a stud 5-star Bo Scarborough, who wasn't playing in the game that they lost by 4 points last year, has now joined. And like Nick said, possibly the best running back in the league. You combine that thunder and lightning thing with him and CJ Marable, that's an offense that New Jersey is going to have a hard time stopping. And then Jamar Smith, all that continuity. This offense is going to be rocking. And we're going to see what New Jersey is without Turpin.
Well, I let's highlight that for a second. I think they're going to be obviously Kevontae Turpin was a fucking beast, and he was a beast in the NFL. But I think Cam Eccles-Looper is very similar. Now, I'm not going to say he's as good as Kevontae Turpin, but I do think they will be fine in the return game with Cam Eccles-Looper, and I think they're going to find creative ways to get him the ball. He reminds me of Kevontae Turpin. Well, he's got to prove it.
And they also brought in DeMornay Pearsonell as well. So they went out. They knew they needed to replace that dynamic playmaker over the top, the speedster. So they bring in Pearsonell. They have Cam Eccles-Looper, so they have 2 guys there. And they're not going to make the mistake of going to a noodle-armed quarterback who taught himself to play quarterback off of YouTube. Because let me tell you, it's hard to tell it on television, but watching both of those guys play live, you watch Luis Perez throw the ball and you say, okay. And then you see DeAndre Johnson throw the ball and you're like, and that dude belongs in the NFL. One of these guys belongs in spring football, and one of these guys has an NFL arm.
And we're giving Scarborough all this love, and rightfully so. But don't forget about Darius Victor and Trey Williams.
Championship game first half Bo Scarborough, or championship game second half Bo Scarborough?
He was like a little winded.
Most consistent.
Oh, he just disappeared in the second half of that game. And maybe he's in better condition coming in this year. I get it. He came in off the street. Tough to have the conditioning, but what is Bo Scarborough's conditioning going to be like? Because let me tell you, Darius Victor, it's Thigh-Mageddon up there in New Jersey, and he looks ready to go.
Dude, I loved Darius Victor, and I was thinking back. I feel like the first matchup we got a smaller dosage of Victor and a bigger matchup of Trey Williams, who's very good too. But they figured out as the season went on, I think that Victor probably their starter with it's a great change of pace, by the way, to go from Victor to Williams. I feel like they're complete opposites in their running style. So love Thunder and Lightning that they got there. Patty C, what's up?
Turpin opens up that offense for New Jersey when he was there, right? Having him on a jet sweep, having him out on the perimeter on a spot pass or sending him deep. The defense has to concentrate on it. Darius Victor, the beneficiary of that, pounding holes that might not have been against the stacked box. You know, we're going to see what he does against the stacked box. And with Scooby Wright looking across the line of scrimmage.
Shark dog, dude, but Cam Eccles-Looper, I'm telling you, he's very similar to Kevontae Turpin. He played minimal, I feel like, because Turpin was in front of him, but the style was very similar.
We're talking about the MVP. Fast. We're talking about an NFL Pro Bowl. I don't care how similar. He's going to be a watered down version.
Well, last year you didn't know who the fuck Kevontae Turpin was prior to that. All right,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Assuming he's like most of the other players in the league, they just happened to get that dude last year. The fact that the chance that they get him twice in a row, pretty low.
Hey, well, look, don't forget Maurice Alexander for the Philadelphia Stars, also a kick returner from a season ago. He was on the Detroit Lions and played pretty damn well. Did he score? I think he might have scored a touchdown in the NFL last year. Remember?
I think it pissed him off, Colby.
Yeah, Patty C, he's out. Forgot to pay his cable bill. Oh, he's back, fresh from Afghanistan, joining ISIS. Look at him over there.
I'm going to be doing some tech work back here, but I'll keep talking.
All right, look, before we get to the next game, because those are the two games Saturday, we're going to talk Sunday's action. But before we get there, I want to tell you that the USFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy is a great place to get down on fantasy and player props all year long. Underdog Fantasy has your favorite NHL, NBA, MLB daily games. Plus, they're already doing best ball drafts for the 2023 NFL season. Also, you can play USFL over there. Head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right, we are back talking United States Football League and Sunday's action. I'm curious which game. How about this? Is the better question for you guys? Which game do we think is better on Sunday? Because we got the Michigan Panthers taking on the Houston Gamblers. At this one is in Memphis at the Liberty Bowl. So it's not a true away game because I don't imagine half the city of Memphis will be Gambler fans. But this is an intriguing one because you get a little battle of the new coaches here. You got Mike Nolan, known for wearing the shirt and tie. Never was really great as a head coach with the 49ers.
No, he wasn't.
But you also have Curtis Johnson, the new head coach of the Houston Gamblers. So Jeff Fisher gone in Michigan, Kevin Sumlin gone in Houston. Curtis Johnson was a college football head coach at Tulane at one point, but most recently with the New Orleans Saints. I'm intrigued on the matchup. The quarterbacks, and Adam, do you have a starter for Houston? That was the only one I couldn't find the other day.
I believe they're leaning into Kenji Bahar to get started this week.
I heard today he was named the starter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would make sense. He was in the offense last year. He looked decent last year in a system that was a Kevin Sumlin system. And Houston is the team that I think got the biggest upgrade coaching wise, going from Kevin Sumlin to Charles Johnson. I think Charles Johnson's a coach who
Curtis Johnson.
Curtis Johnson. Sorry, Curtis
yeah.
Johnson. Curtis Johnson knows how to coach at this level. Curtis Johnson coached at Tulane, been an offensive coordinator, much more of a coaching mindset than maybe Kevin Sumlin, who's a recruiter. Curtis Johnson understands what it takes to win with the talent you have. And I think he's going to be able to capitalize on some of this offensive talent that was underutilized last year.
I mean, Houston was winning every game at halftime. I feel like they if the game would have ended at half, they might have been 72 Dolphins and been undefeated. If they can just protect the lead a little bit. Now, Michigan, though, mid-season last year with Jeff Fisher, who that experience was hilarious. They picked up Josh Love, who was cut from the Pittsburgh Maulers. He ended up playing a little bit of action last year for Michigan. I saw he was named the starter for the Michigan Panthers. Surprised because I know we were maybe considering Eric Barriere or Carson Strong could be in the mix, but Love, from what I saw, was named the starter on social. I mean, I don't know if that's. I saw that was a report. I don't know. I didn't see the league tweet that out, by the way. But if that's the case, you got both teams that were kind of run heavy teams a year ago. Reggie Corbin, Stevie Scott back for the Michigan Panthers, the Houston Gamblers. Hey, we talk best running back in the league, right? We talk Darius Victor. We talked Bo Scarborough. I think one of the most underrated was Mark Thompson with the Gamblers. The defenses knew they couldn't throw the ball. They're loading the box against them, and the guy was pretty damn good. Curious what you guys are doing here. I gotta go Curtis Johnson in the Gamblers here because I actually think they were very close to being like an actual like good team. Where I thought Michigan's got more work to do. Michigan also lost. They lost a couple guys in the receiving core. Lance Lenore, Cam Scarlett was another running back that added them depth. I don't think running back's going to be an issue for them. They returned Joe Walker, but I think the Gamblers were closer to being a playoff team than the Panthers. I'm going to take the Gamblers to get it done minus the 1. I also want to tell you that the total is sitting there at a nice 38.5. Both teams minus 110 on the money line. So, Adam, what are you doing here at the Liberty Bowl?
I'm personally in on the Gamblers right now. I think they have a clear option at quarterback. Josh Love might have been named the starter, but I'm still not convinced he's the best quarterback in Michigan. I could see them going to Eric Barriere, needing to have that spark on the ground, a guy who can make it happen with his legs better than Josh Love can, or they just say, screw it, we're going to go with the young kid. We signed Carson Strong. He was a late draft darling when he came out of Nevada, but because he's big, he's physical, and people got excited about that, but he didn't end up doing anything in the NFL. So I think with two guys breathing down his neck, you look at Houston's roster and you don't see a guy who's going to push Bahar as much. So he has some confidence and he's going to be able to play a little looser than Josh Love. And
they'll just protect a halftime lead for the first time ever. I mean, you
can't blow 11 halftime leads, right?
NC Nick, what are you doing here in the Liberty Bowl with the Panthers and the Gamblers?
Well, first off, I think the scheduling is kind of interesting. I guess the USFL wanted to make a big splash on Saturday and have the best 2 games on Saturday because the 2 games on Sunday certainly are not as good. But I hate to agree with you guys again. I just think the better overall talent and the better roster belongs to Houston. And I love Mark Thompson. I think Bahar, he certainly didn't look great last year, but I think you saw some signs. I'm a bit concerned that the defensive player of the year in the USFL, Chris Odom, is gone, as is the leading tackler for the Gamblers last year, Donald Payne. So they got some gaps to fill on defense. But overall, I just think they're the better team with more talent. So I think talent can win out in week 1 when you have 2 new coaches.
Man, we're all agreeing here with the exception of Patty C with the Stallions place. Patty C, are you going to go contrarian here? What are you doing at the Liberty Bowl?
Well, I like a little interleague play to pop it off. I will say that, missing Chris Odom, USFL defensive MVP last year, who since moved on to the Browns, but did not generate any stats for them last year.
Well, also remember his dad, Cliff Odom, Tecmo Bowl player for the Miami Dolphins. All right. Respect.
Got to remember that.
Yeah.
This is a legend that they no longer have, leading the league in sacks last year with 12.5. That hurts not to have, but I will say from a fantasy standpoint, it's kind of a head scratcher. If we expect them to generate the same amount of points at all this year, their value is unbelievable. I'm trying to pull it up, but I want to say you're getting 12.5 points for under $4,000 there. No one else is going above 9.5 fantasy points. So this is, if it's still an explosive defense, then you got to go Houston, especially given the fact that you guys highlighted all their offensive
let's talk about that. I'm hammering the under on 38.5. I'm hammering the under, guys. Is this too obvious? Adam, what are you doing on the total?
This is the one that I think is going to go under because as you just look at it, these teams average combined 40 points a game last year. New coaches, new offense, lots of new players around. And Houston did go out and try to find some talent to replace Chris Odom, bringing in Reggie Walker and Tim Bonner. The USFL continues to steer heavily into the last chance you guys. So I think, but they're missing the key recipe for success. We need some Buddy Stevens on the sidelines or some JB on the sidelines. I think that would really improve the marketability.
Yeah, I mean the under just seems. I mean this one almost seems.
I hate to
me,
agree with you guys
it almost
again, but
like
I'm on the under as
Lockworthy,
well.
right? Yeah.
Hey, did we touch the total in the other game? The
Oh no, we
Generals
didn't. I'm sorry. Look at
I'm
me
on the
over here.
I'm on the over there too. I think those are two good
Yeah.
offenses with continuity.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Are we all agreeing again? Jeez.
I'm hammering the over in that game. Adam, what are you doing in the total in the Generals Stallions game?
Got to go over because that one, week 1 last year, was a shootout, big high scoring game to open the season. Feels like it's going to be the same exact thing. More excitement in Birmingham to see their boys, the Stallions, back in town, but the Generals are going to come to play. So shootout in Alabama.
Patty C, what are you doing in the Generals Stallions over under on 40?
I mean, yes, you would think over, definitely, with all the talent we highlighted. Victor Bolden being gone, a pretty big factor, and Kevontae Turpin being gone. I mean, not only two of the Victor Bolden led the league in reception or all-purpose yards last year.
MVP, yeah, right.
So
MVP
that's
of the championship, right?
I believe so.
Yeah,
so two big players to lose: championship MVP and league MVP, both on the offensive side of the ball, and great returnmen. So, but I still think the offenses will be way ahead of the defenses.
What are you doing total wise in the Panthers Gamblers game at 38.5, Patty C?
I think I'm going to roll with you guys. I'm not coming with an original angle there. It sounds like new coaches is probably a recipe to ride the under, even though 38 isn't that big of a number.
This reeks of like a 16-10 game.
Well, all the games in the USFL were 16-10 last year. So, people hated it. We loved it.
Not the Generals. The Generals and Stars, I feel like could put up points. You're right, though. Sure. We did love it. All right, look, I'm curious if you think so. We're done with Michigan, Houston. The game after is the Pittsburgh Maulers with a brand new head coach in Ray Horton, who's also a former Tecmo Bowl god. They're a complete mystery team. I feel like I'm curious your guys' take on Maulers. To me, you get rid of Kirby Wilson, you can only go up. You can only go up, right? And so you got that situation with the Maulers. The Catching 4. This game's in Birmingham, so it's not a true home game for the Breakers. New Orleans Breakers, though, they have a coaching change themselves, and they were actually a decent team last year. But Larry Fedora went back to his farm, and they bring in John DeFlippo. And this is a guy, a longtime assistant in the NFL, a little stint at San Jose State, but
great lineage, a JMU guy. Let's be honest.
There you go. Flex that. And then, I mean, I am a little bit curious to see, because New Orleans does bring back. Okay, they lose Sal Cannella, they lose Kyle Sloter, and Sloter was a pretty efficient passer in this league as far as yardage. They lost the Jordan Ellis, the leading rusher in the league, but they have Anthony Jones, who showed some talent in the games. He was injured some, but he played pretty good when he was healthy. They return Jonathan Adams. They return Johnny Dixon. They go out and get the winner of the Grey Cup, starting quarterback from the Toronto Argos, McLeod Bethel Thompson. I'm curious, is this just a no-brainer? We just take New Orleans, but you have Pittsburgh, who made a switch to the Pittsburgh colors, which I think that's probably why they were so terrible last year. They weren't wearing black and yellow.
How you gonna rock purple in Steel City? Come on.
I saw that they named James
Morgan.
But
they're playing in Canton, so it makes sense to wear the purple. Listen, let me just real quick. I know this is a weird take. I don't like the black and yellow. I really like the purple and orange. Ooh. It's weird. It's funky. There's enough teams that are black and yellow. There is no other team that rock the purple and orange. Fox, figure out a way to make that purple and orange jersey work and just own it. It's hideously bad. And just there's a way to make it work.
I mean, Clemson is beautiful in purple and orange, but they made
Clemson doesn't wear purple. They wear orange, and they have purple accents.
When they do purple, it is ugly. I'll give you that.
It's rare though.
But Patty C, you're a Steelers guy. Do you like? You're a Steeler fan.
Oh, I love it in black and gold, but either way, their uniforms are hideous. Those are just poorly designed uniforms, no matter what colors you put on them. But do I love it in black and gold? Is it much more embodying of the city? Look, Kirby Wilson may have been a defensive coach, but we all saw that
he was a running backs coach.
He's a
Why do I
former
keep-
offensive coach. Just remember that. Yeah.
I keep thinking of him as a defensive coach for whatever reason, but maybe it's because the offense was so bad. But I will say this. I am taking a flyer. I may be jumping the gun on revealing part of my draft lineup here. I'm taking a flyer on Garrett Groshek again because
your boy. God. What are you
Great
doing?
value.
Madre London is way better.
I
Madre
told you
London-
last year that guy's a stiff.
well, you were wrong because I watched him. I watched him at Wisconsin. And he was excellent.
Hold on here. Look, the Maulers
and its value.
Let me build you.
No one runs for 2.5 yards a carry like Garrett Groshek and Wisconsin running backs.
He falls
Nobody
forward
does
well.
it better.
Doing it right for the white running backs out there. Folks, let me build the case on the Maulers and how they could be a drastically improved team. All right. They named James Morgan starting quarterback. James Morgan started a lot of time at Bowling Green and Florida International. Ray Horton's the head coach. His son is the defensive coordinator, Jaron Horton. So it's a family affair. Madre London, I thought he was a decent running back. If the whole league knew they were running the ball because they couldn't throw. I thought Madre London was decent. And then they have both the San Jose State wideouts and Trey Walker and Bailey Gaither. I like them getting Samson Nakoa out of BYU and Jalen McCleskey out of Tulane. And I'm curious, the Andre Rison's son's on the team and Hunter Rison, but then you have Hardaway who's back. I kind of think this team that Thad Lee's gone, Kirby Wilson's gone, Josh Love's gone, but might be addition by subtraction here.
But, this means John Tomlinson gets a bigger role in the offense. Offensive coordinator has been quarterback's coach at North Carolina Central, massive high school coaching resume, but also spent time with the Browns in 2017 and 2018. He's a guy who can coach. And, maybe Kirby Wilson was what was holding that offense back. And they returned 3 of their top 4 receivers. The only one they lost was Delvin Hardaway. They returned the other 3. So they have some consistency for James Morgan there, as well as the consistency with the backs.
Wait, so Hardaway's gone though? Because that when I did my rosters a couple weeks ago, I thought he was there.
I'm not seeing Delvin Hardaway. He might have been part of the round of cuts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me tell you this. Bailey Gaither, stud. He's going to look great in black and gold, but I don't know if you were going to bring this up. Reuben Foster, right? A former 5-star at Alabama, an absolute head knocker, right? Stepping in like Scooby Wright, a major college, celebrated athlete. Can he step in kind of like his teammate, old teammate, Bo Scarborough, and really make an impact from the middle linebacker position?
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point.
Blitzburg may be back this year.
Oh, Blitzburg back with the Maulers. Guys, I know we haven't talked about the handicap on this. 5 is the number for some crazy reason. Give me the points. I don't know. I mean, when I look at the roster, I think the Breakers are way better. I just have questions. I don't know about this coach. I don't.
The only problem you're going to run into is we're seeing it right now in the XFL. A competent veteran quarterback can be game changing.
The difference
in a league like this. Claude Bethel Thompson, AJ McCarron. There's great comparisons there. And he has a dynamic receiving duo in Jay Adams and Johnny Dixon.
Yeah.
The Breakers are capable of putting up points. And are we sure losing Kyle Slaughter was a downgrade? We saw Kyle Slaughter get benched. They said Drew Plitt's better. Oh, wait, no. You know who's better? Luis Perez on 1 week's prep is better than this guy.
No, so I think Kyle they got better at quarterback.
I think they got better at quarterback. I think the receivers are better. And John DeFilippo's a better, maybe not a better offensive mind than Larry Fedora, but a competent offensive mind.
Well, I think the real question is how good can Pittsburgh be without Kirby Wilson? I wanted to pick one game that
do we know what their pregame meal was? That's the big question: chicken salad or pizza.
I wanted to pick though. Like I was sitting there like, okay, which one am I not seeing coming? Because I feel like a lot of these seem somewhat obvious to me. Maybe because we watched every game last year multiple times, probably, but. I'm like, let me take one that I'm not seeing coming. The Maulers are better with Ray Horton than Kirby Wilson. Give me the points. They might not win the game, but give me the 5. It sounds like you were laying the 5, Adam, with the Breakers.
Yeah, I found 4. I didn't find 5, and 4 versus 5 is maybe I'd swing. I'd probably need that to get to 6
You're-
before I got on the Maulers.
No, you're right. You're right. It's 4. I have it on the screen right there. My
You got
apologies
confused
there.
with
Yeah.
the Generals at 5, but I
Yeah.
think I need that line to get to 6 before I look at the Maulers, just because the Breakers, that offense is really good. I think that offense is just going to be better. And as much as I'm a believer in addition by subtraction for the Maulers, I just don't think they're not ready yet. This is going to be a late season improvement for the Maulers.
NC Nick, what are you doing here? And by the way, the Maulers are plus 155 on the money line, and the over unders at 37.5. Nick, what are you doing as far as the game with the 4-point spread?
Yeah, I gotta side with Adam again. You know, I think there's just less question marks when it comes to the Breakers. Even though Bethel Thompson is his first year there, the dude has just been around for a long time. I think he's going to come in nicely, and that passing attack is going to hum from day one. So I'm going to lay the points here. With Pittsburgh, I mean, yeah, I don't know about James Morgan. We'll see what he does playing professional now. And I mean, I think there's question marks at both head coaches, but overall, I think the Breakers are probably the better team.
Oh,
especially
definitely.
early in the year. I'll go ahead and I'll lay up to a touchdown.
Backdoor cover by the Maulers, man. They score. It's a 10-point game. They get a touchdown with 10 seconds left. Patty C.
I struggled with the over under here though, and I ended up leaning on the under.
Patty C, what are you doing here with the points? With the game being at 4 and also the over under.
The Maulers were 1-9 last year, finished on a 5-game losing streak, had the worst scoring offense in the league, the tied for the worst scoring defense in the league. Meanwhile, the Breakers had the best scoring defense in the whole league, and a decent I guess a pretty average offense, all things considered, which is surprising with Larry Fedora being their coach last year. All that to say, I think it's just 5 points seems like not enough. Yeah. Not enough at all.
4 points
or 4 points. Yeah. I mean, to me, it should be 14, you know, and the Maulers have a lot to prove. They suck. And, hopefully they'll get better, but what indication are we just going off the roster that this team's they have a new coach too.
But it's never this simple. Look, I agree. The Breakers roster is way better. All 4 seem when I looked at all 4 games, I said, man, all 4 seem pretty easy to me. Right. I thought maybe I could be wrong about the Generals or Stallions because Stallions are bringing back everybody. But then I was like, which one am I not seeing coming? Because I was like, maybe either Pittsburgh or Michigan. So one of these teams is gonna be. There's no way that it's just that chalk from a year ago, right? You know what I mean? Like, so I feel like one of them we're not gonna see coming. Maybe it's the Michigan Panthers against the Houston Gamblers. I don't know. Maybe Memphis starts playing good. But I don't know. Give me the Maulers. I want another dog now for the over under at 37.5. Whew.
I think if you're taking points, you're going under, right?
I'm going under. Going under. Yeah. Give me the under on this. I don't feel good about this one though. Adam, what are you doing here on the total?
I'm going over because the Maulers were just epically bad last year. 14.7 points per game. That was honestly one of the worst points per game totals in recent spring football, but I think they're massively improved this year coming in. Give me the over 37. That's a 18-19. That's a 19-19 game, and we hit the over, and they're kicking field goals and extra points if they want. So give me the over.
There we go. Patty C, what are you doing on the total in good old Birmingham in this game?
I'm going under. Even though I have 2 players from Pittsburgh's offense on my fantasy squad.
Yeah. That's rolling the dice. Hey, they're going to have low
hedging your bets. But look, James Morgan, I think we are assuming he's a starter, right?
Yeah.
Practice squad for the Panthers, practice squad for the Steelers, practice squad for the Jets, Colts, Cardinals. The guy can't get off the practice squad.
One of those preseason games, I'm a Jets fan here, so one of those preseason games, he actually looked pretty good for the Jets. So I'm intrigued. I don't know anything about Ray Horton as a head coach. I remember him as a player, but that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, I went under, but it's interesting. It's interesting.
This is James Morgan's 3rd stint as a professional quarterback in Pittsburgh. Played for the Steelers in 21 in the last 3 years. The Maulers in 2022, then went to the Cardinals. Now he's back with the Maulers again. The guy can't get enough of the black and yellow.
or the purple and orange, whatever the fuck it is.
Orange,
Folks,
what have you.
all right, look, let's hop over. Pull up your DFS rosters, guys, because look, last year we were pretty fire. I do believe it was week 2 for me that I gave away the number 1 lineup in the fucking in DFS, winning a cool hard. I think it was like, what was it, $1,500, something like
it was
that.
the opening week. I thought it was week 1 for you. No,
I thought it was too, and then I went back and looked. It was week 2.
All right. Well,
It was, I thought I was touting like, oh, last year, and then I looked and I was like, it turns out it was week 2. But anyway, look, I mean, I won money actually, like I think 5 weeks of this league. I won some sort of money. So let's have some fun, man. This is going to be fantastic.
5?
Yeah,
That's
only
rookie
5.
Only
Only 5.
Right
that
there.
sounds like you're 550%. That's not that great.
Well, 5 with one of those being first place, motherfuckers. I
That's
didn't
true.
hear any
There
of
we
you
go.
guys
There we
hit
go.
first place.
That's
all right.
true.
No, I didn't. Came close a couple times, just missed.
So let's start things off. All right, quarterback wise, I'm gonna let Adam take the wings here because look, this is you're the guest on this show. What are you doing at the quarterback spot?
I have been all in on this man since Mike Riley and the Generals got smart and ran Luis Perez out of town on a rail and let him go to the XFL. DeAndre Johnson all day. DeAndre Johnson smashed that all season.
It's my guy too.
I picked him 101 in multiple season-long USFL leagues. I think he's just going to have a monster year.
Can't agree with you more. When I saw he was for some reason pretty far down on the totem pole for quarterbacks here. This is one of the best guys for dual threat scoring here. Like this guy not only is a decent passer, he's an animal running the ball, and he had rushing touchdowns. I feel like if they're inside the 5-yard line, I know Victor's kind of a bowling ball, but I feel like their go-to guy on goal line packages was DeAndre Johnson. So you're going to get scoring, rushing touchdowns with them at 8,900. I loaded him up too at quarterback. Nick, what did you do at QB? Did you go DJ here?
I did not. Finally, some differences. So I like the play. I think Bethel Thompson is an interesting play for even cheaper. But no, I didn't get cute here. I went with Case Cookus. I went with the team that has the best offense in the whole league last year. And
80-yard touchdown. Remember that one?
That was a great run, man. Definitely. Also, I think the matchup is juicier against Memphis. So I'm going to go Case Cookus and go ahead. I'll stop there. Patty C.
Cookies. Patty C, what are you doing?
I agree. I mean, he didn't even start the season as a starter, was behind Brian Scott. Now we'll have a full off season, getting more reps, still 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, just shy of the championship game. And, the most fantasy points for your quarterback per game. So that's really why I'm taking him.
Man, no one taking Bethel Thompson. No one taking Jamar Smith.
Wow.
I guess you with the Smith play, you worry about Mago coming in for some snaps, right? So I feel like that was always frustrating. Actually, a little bit of taking Johnson last year. Sometimes they'd bring in Luis Perez, and you're like, damn it, Johnson got him all the way down there, and Luis Perez throws a touchdown. But now that he's gone, I'm definitely all in on DeAndre Johnson. All right, top running back. I'm very curious what we do here because Darius Victor, I believe, was if memory serves me correct, the top back in the league, right? I feel like he was number 1.
He was the number 1 back, and not only that, he was the most irreplaceable player in the USFL last year, fantasy wise. Wow. He was nearly double your replacement level fantasy player last year, but a lot of that was touchdowns, and we got to remember, touchdowns are very fluky. He had 9 last year.
Yeah.
He's probably not going to have 9 again this year.
Yeah. So who'd you go with as your top price running back, Adam?
I went with Mark Thompson. Mark Thompson just was an absolute bruiser last year for Houston, throwing guys down left and right, big physical back out of Florida. And he just consistently gets the ball, consistently shoulders a workload, and can get a little involved in the passing game. Give me Mark Thompson all day.
Yeah, he's a stud. I had him a lot last year. He is a complete stud. And by the way, guys, I went with bringing back old school football here. I went with a solid 4 running backs on my lineup. 4 running backs. Right. Load them up. All right. They run the ball a lot more in the USFL than the XFL.
You can't roster 4 running backs.
What do you mean?
You got one running back slot and you got 2 flexes.
Yeah, I'm an idiot actually. 3 running backs. All right. The most you can do. I loaded up with running backs. All right. My top guy, I went with Bo Scarborough, 8,800. Look, I mean, I am a little bit concerned because they do give the ball to Brooks James and Marable some, but it's Bo Scarborough. Like, how did this guy not get a tryout in the NFL last year?
Are we sure Brooks James is still on that roster? Because I've got.
I don't think he is. I think
he must have got cut in the past. Dude, I've been crunching over here the past week with. He must have been cut recently.
I think he did. I think he might have been part of that wave of cuts. And just to everyone who says you can't play 3 running backs in the 2022 USFL, 3 teams finished. 3 of the top 6 teams in modern spring football were USFL teams for rushing yards per game. So the USFL runs early, runs often, and runs the damn ball. So yes, you can go with 3 running backs in your lineup, Colby. You do what you want.
Yeah, in a league that's ran by a fucking fullback, come on. What are you doing? Daryl Moose Johnson's in charge over here. NC Nick, who was your high price running back?
I'm with you. So for me, it was either Scarborough or Victor. I thought Victor kind of faded towards the end of the season. I mean, you look at like the last 3 games, only 1 touchdown, only 1 game above 50 yards in those last 3 matchups. So I settled on Scarborough. He may be very highly owned because I think he has one of the biggest names in the USFL, but I do think he'll have a nice game Saturday evening.
Yeah. Patty C, what was your top priced running back?
Well, I also went Scarborough, and for all the same reasons you guys have already mentioned, he did have a nice first half in the championship game. But
he's a stud.
Matt Colburn was very attractive to me too.
I almost went with him, man.
He is an absolute burner, man. I expect him to have a big game. I'll probably regret not taking him, but I got to go Scarborough.
Well, that's the interesting thing too with Bart Andrews. They throw to the running backs a lot. Some of those games, I don't know if it was Colburn or Paul Terry or the other running back. Like some of those games, I remember them having like 6-7 catches, and I'm like, wow, they really get the ball out to the running backs.
And Matt Colburn has no Paul Terry and no Darnell Holland to sap work from him. Dexter Williams is the only other running back on the Stars roster right now.
Former Notre Dame.
They're gonna run Matt Colburn until he pukes.
And I told you guys when we were talking about the game against Tampa last year, he ran for $140 and 3 touchdowns.
You're making me change. What's his price? What's his price?
$200 more than Scarborough. So not,
I got, you know what?
He's his own change of pace back.
I'm out on Scarborough. I'm going to Colburn. All right.
I had to make a pivot there in my lineup as well. I had to remove somebody and put Matt Colburn in the flex.
I like the play, but I can't have everybody on my team on the Stars. So I gotta have a couple guys on some different teams here. So I'm gonna stay pat right now, I think.
And that's the trouble right now is for 3 of the top 6 modern spring teams being rushing, have 3 USFL teams being in the top 6 for rushing. No USFL team averaged 200 yards passing last year. None. So they are all in the bottom half for the modern spring league. So AAF, XFL2, USFL, and I don't have the modern XF. I don't have the XFL3 numbers in here yet, but I imagine it'll push them even further down that list.
No
USFL
wonder
did not throw the ball last year.
No wonder why I love this product. I feel like that must have been, without even knowing that. I mean, I did feel like the line of scrimmage. One thing I've been saying here in the office at SGPN I was like, guys, asking Sean and Ryan, they're watching the XFL games. They watched the USFL last year, and CJ Sullivan here. And I'm like, the line of scrimmage was just so much more dominant in the USFL than the XFL. Now, some of that might just be the XFL's commitment to passing, but they haven't had great success when they ran the ball. And how about when you look at the running backs of the USFL? We mentioned Mark Thompson as an absolute stud, Bo Scarborough, stud. Victor/Trey Williams, both very good. Matt Colburn, very good. I like the running backs the Michigan Panthers have. I even like Madre London and Pittsburgh. Like, I almost feel like every running back in this league, Anthony Jones down there with New Orleans, when he was healthy, he was efficient and a good back. I feel like every running back is really good in this league. Am I crazy?
No,
players, man. You're right.
I think the running backs in the USFL are better. I don't know that the receivers are better, but I think that the running backs are better. And I think what probably happened is the XFL paid quarterbacks, and there are some really bad offensive lines in the XFL, and the USFL retained their offensive linemen, because when you look at it, the Orlando Guardians have already given up 30 sacks this year, the Battlehawks 25, the Brahmas 23. So 8 games in, you've got 3 XFL teams with 20 plus sacks already.
Yeah. I mean, it stands out when I watch. It truly stands out when I watch. Okay, so I pivoted to Matt Colburn. Yeah, Adam pivoted to Matt Colburn. We did Benedict there, but hey, it's okay. The games have not started yet.
There is something to what you were saying too, because I'm looking on the as far as value is concerned. Dexter Williams for Philadelphia at 6,400 and averaging 14.2 fantasy points per game. That's actually the highest average of fantasy points per game of any back in the league. Granted, he played 1 game, but it was for Philadelphia, presumably prior to Matt Colburn taking over the starting duties. But he had like 73 receiving yards. So
I believe that was their week 10 game when they sat everybody.
Oh, they
I
sat.
think is the one he played. I don't think he played. I don't remember him
but
doing much last year until that end of the season.
But more so than really any team in the league from a year ago, Andrus throws to his running backs. That stood out to me, that like, whoa, he really likes to throw to his running backs. Sometimes he'll even like vertical routes. Sometimes that stood out all from last season. But all right, second highest price running back. Adam, you pivoted. So are you still with Mark Thompson, or did you ditch Thompson to go to?
I kept Mark Thompson in my running back, and I put Matt Colburn in as a flex.
Okay, so that's your second running back. NC Nick, who is your second running back?
It's Mark Thompson. So so if everything we said, I mean, the guy's an animal, and I like his matchup as well. So my 2 running backs, I only had 2 running backs: is Scarborough and Thompson.
Yeah. Patty C, who is your second running back?
Well, I'm taking 2 guys from the same backfield, and guess what? Birmingham likes to run the damn ball, and that's what they're going to do. I got CJ Marable and Bo Scarborough, Thunder and Lightning, and between the 2 of them, I expect 175 rushing yards. So I think I'll get the value I want out of them, depending on who's hitting the home runs. It's hard to stop both of those guys if you're in New Jersey. So I figure between the 2, I'm probably going to get pretty good value. And then I did have a third running back too, which I guess we'll get to. I already kind of alluded to that.
Yeah.
Groshek. That's right. He's really my number 1. He should be my starter. Let's be honest.
Wow. Bargain shopping with Garrett Groshek. So I never named my number 2 running back. My number 2 running back. So I switched to Colburn as my 1. My number 2 running back, I am going to go with Trey Williams. I think Trey Williams, Victor's getting a lot of the shine. I like some of the things Nick said about down the stretch. It became more of a Williams show than Victor. I also think Williams is the much better receiver out of the backfield. So at 8,100, I did go with Trey Williams. As far as third running back, Adam, or if you didn't, how about flex then? If you didn't have a third back, what'd you do, Adam?
My cheap flex was Trey Quinn. Trey Quinn, NFL caliber receiver, coming in at $3,000 on the Michigan Panthers. Trey Quinn is an NFL level talent. He's a guy who gets open, and nothing serves a bad quarterback better than a guy who can create yards and yards of separation.
Hey, I like it. What was his price?
3,000.
Wow. Bargain shopping over here. Okay. My final running back is Madre London. I'm buying in to Pittsburgh being a little bit better at 6,900, taking on New Orleans. I get it. Their defense was opportunistic last year, but I thought there was a lot of opportunity to run on them. Let's go. Madre London, 6,900. Nick, did you go 3 running backs, Nick?
No, just 2 running backs. So what do you want? What do you want? My cheapest flex guy? So let me throw him out because I also have a wide receiver that's $3,000. And I don't know if Adam listens to our college football DFS, but one thing we like to do is a side bet for a bottle of bourbon where, we both pick a guy that's about the same dollar. So you basically you're choosing one guy over the other. So my receiver that's only $3K and it's part of a double stack I'm doing with the Philadelphia Stars. You last saw him catching 4 balls for 55 yards and a touchdown in the championship game. I'm going to go Chris Rowland on the Stars. Adam, if you're up for it, bottle of bourbon bet, buddy.
I'm always up for that because I think Trey Quinn is going to just feast for the Panthers. So of course it's on.
Ooh,
Let's
I
do it.
like it. It never stops with the Sports Gambling Podcast. All right, we got a little side action going on. Patty C, who did you go with? Did you go? You alluded to it, right? You went with Groshek as your third running back.
That's right. That's right. Even though I do think that London is really the better back, he's a big back with some scoot, some shift to him. I was impressed with London, so I think that's a good pick on your part. But I do feel like if Pittsburgh can find a way to get to use, maybe not as the feature back, but Groshek was a pass catcher at Wisconsin. I want to say he had close to 30 catches for 2 or 3 straight years.
That's just because Jack Cohn was the quarterback.
Right.
Check down Cohn was like, hey, there you go.
That's right. You're always open. Or that's the farthest I can throw that ball. But I do think even still, he's got some wiggle and he's a tough runner, and it's just a fit in the city of Pittsburgh. He's Merrill Hodge 2.0. Maybe it's just my heart, talking still. But
Find a way. Friend of the program, Merrill Hodge. Check out his books. Okay. Look, top price wide receiver, Adam. Fire away.
Alonzo Moore. DeAndre Johnson's going to throw for a lot of yardage to somebody, and I think it's going to be Alonzo Moore. He's a big physical receiver who can get it done in all phases of the game. He had a good year for the Generals last year. He didn't necessarily run away from the pack last year, but he was a top option for them outside of Kevontae Turpin. So give me the guy who went for 365 and 3 touchdowns last year.
Oh, I like it. I want part of that Generals off. Mike Riley knows offense. All right. He's going to have that offense going. My top price wide receiver was Jonathan Adams. Look, I wanted some part of the Breakers offense. I thought about their quarterback play. I thought about their running back play. I thought about Dixon, but I thought, man, Adams and Dixon, I get it. Dixon was a better fantasy player last year, but there were games where Adams took over the game. So I'm just banking on, I didn't have enough money for Dixon. So it's 7,700. I loaded up on Jonathan Adams, former Arkansas State Red Wolf. NC Nick, who's your top price wideout?
I can't believe you guys are passing up Marlon Williams. I mean, overall, he had a very nice first year in the USFL, but he started off slow. He really came on the second half of the season. In those 5 games, 3 of those games, he had at least 7 catches. The guy is probably, like I said, the best receiver in the whole league, and I'm going to pay up $9.5K for Marlon Williams.
Former UCF Golden Knight, very Golden Knight. Patty C, who's your top wideout?
Well, my top paid wideout is not the same as my top producing wideout. My top paid wideout is Johnny Dixon. And I just had $9,000 left over at the end, and he was my final pick. But he really didn't have more than like 4 catches, but one time in the season. 5 once, and then 7 one time, and everything else 3 or 4 catches, and only over 44 yards once all season. So he's not gonna, but he is consistent. What you're gonna get.
And we mentioned this earlier. I mean, Adam, we're banking on the fact that they improved that quarterback. Slaughter threw a lot of. Slaughter was like Brett Favre on the Falcons. He was just like throwing a million passes into double and triple coverage. Now, I appreciated it from a gunslinging point of view. I was like, hey, you know what? This fucking guy does not care. He's gonna throw it. But at the same time, they might be better at passing the ball than they were a season ago. All right, Adam, second highest priced receiver.
I also got Jay Adams. Jay Adams now, not Jonathan Adams. He changed it in the offseason. So, but yes, Jay Adams actually outproduced Johnny Dixon last year in fantasy. 31 catches for 405 and 3 touchdowns against 37, 359 and 4. So they were close. And Marlon
Adams is
Williams,
a beast. Yeah.
He's just big. He's physical. He goes up. He wins those jump balls. He wins those 50-50 balls. So give me that guy all day long.
He's a stud. And one of those catches was the best catches of the season, probably. The one-armed play. Oh, man. Go to YouTube that, guys. Nick, second highest price wideout.
I mentioned I have a double stack for the Stars. I got Cookus at quarterback. I got the cheap receiver in Rowland, and for 5.3K, I also have Devin Gray. He had a total of 9 catches in the 2 playoff games last year. I know the Stars have maybe 4 receivers they're going to spread the ball around to, but I expect that passing game to go off. And if I can get 2 of those receivers, the 2 cheaper ones that means I have, 2 bullets in my Stars passing game gun. So that's what I did there.
I like it. I like it, buddy. You know what I did? I already hyped this guy. Cam Eccles Looper at 5K. Cavante Turpin 2.0. I'm calling him. Let's go. He's my final wide receiver. So at 5K you can bargain shop. I did leave about $900 out there. Patty C, what did you do on your final skill position player?
Well, I went with Bailey Gaither. You get great value for the pick. He's let me see, 12.4 fantasy points per game for only $7,000. So and he was explosive at the beginning of last year. I want to say he had about close to 35, 40 catches through the first 4 games. And now he did fade toward the end of the last year. I saw it in the offseason that he didn't pass physicals as back in August for both the Ravens and the Giants. So maybe there was an injury that was limiting him in the second half of the season. I'm hoping he's gotten better from that. So I'm taking a flyer for week 1 to see if he can reproduce the early season magic he had last year. But if the injury is long-term, it is an undisclosed injury. But if it's long-term, then obviously he's not getting rostered again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm sorry if you're watching on YouTube. I don't know what just happened. The TV went out, but
we broke something.
Yes, but something had to do with some type of update. Control Alt Delete, people. Look, defensively, Adam, what are you doing on the defensive side of things?
We have a man who's undermatched going up against a stellar defense in Philadelphia and Memphis. Give me the Stars defense. 13 picks last year, 24 sacks. They may have given up some points, but they will get after the quarterback and they will force bad turnovers. Todd Haley, not a good coach.
I agree.
Brady White, not a good quarterback. Bart Andrews and the Stars are going to feast here. Got it. Pay up for the Stars. Pay the 43 for the Stars.
Lot of opportunity. I like it. Fading the bandits / showboats. I've been on board for that for a while. I went with the Gamblers going up against Michigan. Josh Love's got to prove it to me. I do like the Michigan Panthers running backs, but I say load the box, make Josh Love beat you, or Eric Barriere, whoever the hell they go with. The lawn chair strong. You know what I mean? Does not matter. All right. I think the Gamblers defense was pretty good last year. When you look at all the numbers, I feel like they were actually like deserving of a playoff spot, the defensive side of the ball. Problem was their offense. So at 3,600, give me the Gamblers defense. Nick, what'd you do on the defensive side of the ball?
Again, I'm with Adam. I went Philly. And also, I mean, everything that he said, but I like the fact that we saw the head coach in the offseason address that. He said, I realized our defense was not where it needed to be, and we did some things in the offseason to address it. So the matchup is there, and I expect Philly to have a better D than last year, and they're going to get a handful of turnovers here.
Bart Scott went back to the drawing board, said, what did I do with the Ottawa GG's defense? They were so good. All right. What did I do? And he looked.
Bart Andrews.
You say Bart Scott?
Did I say Bart Scott?
You are all over the place tonight,
I am all over the place, man. Bart Andrews, Bart Scott, Bart fucking Simpson. Doesn't matter. All right. The Philadelphia Stars. All right. They went to the drawing board. The Ottawa GG's. They got it done. Patty C, what are you doing on the defensive side of things in DFS?
I'm with you. I went Gamblers. I mean, value. If last year holds up at all, then the Gamblers 12.7 fantasy points per game. The next highest was 9.2 or 9.5 in the Stallions. So a pretty big gap there. And then they were only 3,600, so the third cheapest for the highest rated defense. On value alone, I took that play. Plus, I think dressing in black, being down in Houston, they got some attitude down there. Are they going to miss out Chris Odom? Sure. But I think they restocked the cupboard, and the Gamblers get it done.
Let's go, folks. You heard it here first. Gamblers, that's the play.
If you're still watching, we just got some injury report updates, so we could walk through that a little bit here.
Fire away.
Philadelphia Stars, Memphis Showboats. 3 DBs questionable or doubtful. John Franklin, the third probable. Matt Burrell on the offensive line, probable. John Adkins on the defensive line, probable. For the Philly Stars, nobody questionable or doubtful, but Ryan Izzo and Pro Wells are both probable. Jordan Sewell, probable, and some other guys probable as well. New Jersey Generals, Warren Newman and Darrell Stewart are out. Sage Young on the offensive line is out. Trey Williams was a full go with his left ankle sprain. Cam Eccles-Looper, full go despite dealing with an illness. The defending champion, Birmingham Stallions, Adrian Hardy, wide receiver, out. JoJo Tillery, cornerback, out. Austin Watkins and Myron Mitchell were full goes. They're both wide receivers. Alex McGough, full go. Everybody else on the injury. Scooby Wright, probable. Everybody else was a full go. And that looks like it. So we've got 3 games worth of injury reports.
There we go, folks. All right, Trey Williams playing. I'm good. All right, let's go, folks. Subscribe to the USFL podcast, USFL gambling podcast, because we are a full go. All right, all year long, we're going to be here talking about all the action. So please hop on over there, subscribe, and I love this random promotion right here behind me. But yeah. So is that
Apple? Give us some of that money.
Jennifer Garner, right?
What are you guys watching over there?
I got no idea what's going on here.
Broke the studio again.
Folks, subscribe though. We're on Spotify, iTunes, and obviously we're on YouTube, youtube.com. Type in USFL Gambling Podcast and we will come up. Also, give us all a follow. All right. I mean, Patty C is on Twitter at Patty C831.
This is great.
Well, Kramer has the controller over there, so it's like if I'm hosting the show, it's gotta stay going right now. But give Patty C a follow, Patty C831. Give NC Nick a follow at NC__NICK. And make sure you give Adam Pelletier a follow. He is on Twitter at Adam Pelletier. And check out all of the articles that are up on sportsgamblingpodcast.com or the SGPN app. Adam's the guy behind the scenes making that happen. Shout out to him and Adam. Happy USFL season as this thing is just going to be a lot of fun. I mean, should we make predictions to win the cup, the Freedom Cup? Who you got winning it, Adam?
It's the New Jersey Generals. I think it's the New Jersey Revenge Tour. Mike Riley is sitting there saying, I'm a better coach than Bart Andrus. I'm a better coach than Skip Holtz. Give me my damn ring.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I'm a Riley guy. He's going to get
robbed in the AAF.
Yeah. He's going to get the championship. He's going to get the championship. Nick, what are you doing?
We got to have some difference here. Give me the Philly Stars.
Ooh, going, but just that's a. I mean, they're in every
cheers for a
game.
Who cheers for a dynasty though? Like you're a front.
I'm a Duke fan.
Yeah, oh, that's true. I forgot that. You're soulless out there in Blue Devil country.
Patty C, you go with Garrett Groshek and the Maulers. Yeah,
tempting, but no. I think I'm with Adam and Nick. Or wait, Nick, you said Philly. I'm with Adam and Colby with the Generals. Look, I brought this up to Colby and Nick. They said, maybe it wasn't time yet to bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up anyway. Herschel Walker, also an all-time legend in the USFL, the all-time leading rusher in the USFL. Bring him back to the New Jersey Generals, I say. He's got a little free time now. And listen up. We got Northeast football is back. Philly versus Jersey. That's right.
I like it. I like it, folks. Okay, that does it. Big shout out to Jennifer Garner for her appearance on the show. And look, also check out the XFL Gambling Podcast, which I host as well as the College Football Experience, the College Basketball Experience, and College Baseball Experience. Get the SGPN app for free in the App Store and Google Play Store. And make sure you come talk USFL action with us. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Discord. All right, folks, until the recap show Sunday night or Monday, we're working on the schedule right now. But until then, this is the USFL Gambling Podcast. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
There are those who say that the fun has gone out of football, that it's become too predictable. For them, let me present 30 seconds of football, USFL style.
The USFL, where